Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order this special meeting of the Haslett City Council this June 30th, 2025 at 7 p.m. There is a quorum present. If you bow your heads and then stand, I'll offer invocation and then stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Almighty Father, for your many blessings. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your love and your tenderness. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3 is citizen participation. Does anybody in the audience like to make a comment to the City Council on any item? Do we have anybody online? All right, then. Let's go to item 4, public hearings, ordinances, resolution, and action items. 4A, discuss, consider, and act to award contract for solid waste collection and disposal of residential, commercial, and recyclable materials collection and processing. Presentation, Mr. Rogers.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The big thing to look at on this is this sheet, which is this. As you'll see, all of our bids are all here together, and they came in quite close together. Very good grouping of pricing. So I want everybody to be able to see that and to know that on this one there was a change. There was a mistake made on community waste disposal where the $1 is on the hazardous waste collection. The 80 cents that's down at the bottom of some of the added services ended up there, so we fixed that, cleaned that up so that reflects the real number instead of that 80 cent extra. So I want y'all to see that. And give you a little history of, last year the solid waste contract was extended for an additional year, which takes us out to July 31st, 2025 of next month. And that's it, it ends. So we have to go out for a new contract to be entered into. So back in April 16th, 2025, we put out an RFP and it was published in the paper, and we had 3 proposals came back. As I said, they were all close together. These were all kind of compared here together to see which was the lowest cost and best value for the city and its citizens. When we got through with all of it, the lowest cost rate for weekly collection ends up being for what we normally get today, which is on the base bid up here, was Republic Waste for a total of $19.61, which is exactly 1 penny less than their current rate somehow, because their current rate is $16.92. Of course, we're looking a lot at this additional bulk pickup, because that has been the one probably most common request from our citizens, is to have an additional bulk pickup every month. Seems they need that to get rid of all the things they have. So we're looking at the different ones. Their rate was $1.96, so that would take their total up to $21.57 per month, which is still good. The lowest rates, if you just went with carts only, now that would be CWD. They're slightly, a total of 4 cents cheaper. That tells you how close these people are and how good all their rates really were. Now our current service, I want everybody to know this, is that it's technically $18.55, and about 6 years or so back, for some reason when they went to the household hazardous waste collection, $1.07 under Republic Services. Back then, still is today. This is what they're proposing again. Our city was writing that off. That was paid for through the city. We're not passing it on to the customer. There was a lot less customers, so it wasn't quite so much money back then.
I found out some more detail about that. is 6 years ago, hazardous waste collection was the first time the city entertained that service.
Ah, that's a good one.
And they viewed it, well, let's see how this goes. At that time, there was, I believe, in connection with the annual or semi-annual brush pickup and paper shredding, was a hazardous waste
Yeah, one time a
drop
year.
off, and that would occur then. But later on, I guess several years back, 3 or 4 years back, change was made to that. And that, okay, you give them a call, you just call them up, let them know that there is hazardous waste, and they will come to your home and pick it up. That's currently how it's conducted, and would be in these other scenarios as well. Again, Mr. Rogers is correct. The city did not pass that on as a charge to each citizen. Waste collection is an enterprise fund. That means that it's supposed to be self-sustaining in finance. These prices here reflect a true enterprise fund. There is no subsidy by any other such. It came from water, waste and sewer and water service.
Sewer and water service.
That's where that underwriting came from. That will not any longer be the case. So each citizen will pay. And as you can see here, the waste, hazardous waste pickup, you can see that charge across the board by each provider. That was the further
That's a good
detail.
history.
Yeah, and could I add some context to that too, Mayor Halsey?
Say that again?
May I add some context as well? It was in a budget workshop because I'm the one that brought it up when my in-laws lived in Decatur and had that amazing service. And so originally it was not, we paid for it as a city and it didn't add to their water bill? Is that what you're saying? We paid for it?
No, the Water and Sewer Fund, which is an enterprise fund, paid for it.
The
That's
city.
where,
Okay, not the citizens, okay. And, I mean, I've used it numerous times. You just enter your water bill and tell them what you're going to need to drop off. And I think that's why the CRUD cruiser was eliminated, because we looked at the cost of that once a year versus the convenience of the e-waste.
So
And it's
what
a
is,
great,
what
it's
are
a
you-
great, it's a great system. Adding some.
well, you're just adding more context.
Yes, yeah.
Got it. All right, then. So this is to let you know that going forward here, it is not subsidized by any other fund. This is self-sustaining.
Correct. So,
may I ask a question?
sure.
Does that mean, since we're not going to subsidize anymore, that cost is going to be passed on to each homeowner?
Yes,
So our rates will go up a little regardless?
a little.
Yeah.
As Mr. Rogers pointed out, currently we're paying how much?
Currently, today, if you put the whole thing, we're paying $18.55, and then the water fund's been subsidizing the $1.07, so $19.62 versus the current one that we have here is $19.61.
So a penny difference.
But if we add the other bulk collection, it adds another $1.96.
It adds $1.96, and that is the most requested additional service by far.
Okay, thank you.
It's the most common thing we get a question about is.
Mr. Rogers, please proceed.
So, and I know the last one, we were looking at two different things. We sent out the deal, and we got a lot of responses back from customers during this time between these, and our customers all seem to be, for the most part, very much currently happy with the service they're getting and stuff. They like what the service we have is, and have a bunch of them that have told us they would like to just stay like it is, just keep on going, and except they want bulk pickup twice a month so they can get rid of their stuff.
Keep on going with what, Mr. Rogers?
Our current service with Republic Services, that's what we heard the most of. So that's why we set our recommendation to what the customers requested from us, that we negotiate a contract with Republic Services for another 5-year contract, back on track. And then the contract would have 2 optional 2-year extensions into it. So it would carry us out farther into the future.
Would bulk pickup be every, like, second and fourth weekend,
Every
second and fourth?
time, you'd have your first and probably mid pickup.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Rogers? If not, we'll just go on to part 2 of this. Discuss, consider, and act.
Okay, I had a question about the contract. So he, and maybe Mr. Rogers, he said there's an optional 2-year extension or renewal. Is that in the, that's in
Yes,
the
that's
contract?
in the contract. So with any choice that you make, the contract will be for 5 years. And then upon council approval, it can be extended another 2 years.
So did
And that happens twice.
okay. Did the contract that we had, you said in April, that was different than the contract that automatically renewed that we did have before?
We haven't had one that automatically renews.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the 2002. I was on council in 2019 when this came out.
So that was a 5-year contract.
Correct, but it also has the addendum that it, let me make sure, I want to make sure I'm reading it
That we
correctly.
could also extend that contract upon approval. Am I misstating anything, Mr. Rogers?
I believe so.
So it took council approval with those extensions. Those extensions are written in there so you don't have to go out every 5 years and do another RFP. You can extend it 2 years at a time.
Right, and how I read it is that it automatically extended. Let me look at the addendum. I want to get it correctly.
Are you talking about a previous contract?
With
The current-
Republic, it
the
said,
The current contract does not have automatic. It takes council approval.
so it says may be renewed for additional successive 5-year terms by mutual consent of both parties. So this was the contract prior to the 1 year we adopted, you said in April? Or what? This is the contract last year, so last July. Okay, and that doesn't have that wording in it?
Last July, what we did is we were anticipating to go out with an RFP and found ourselves short of time to do that correctly. And we asked Republic if they would give us, if they would agree to a 1-year extension. They agreed to it, and we brought that to the city council at that time, and they agreed to the council, you approved a 1-year extension.
Okay.
And that's where we are on that. And that's how any other, such as whomever this is awarded to, is they will get a 5-year contract. At the end of that 5 years, or prior to the end of that 5 years, we will first ask them if they're agreeable to that. Then if they are, we'll bring it to the council and ask for your approval for a 2-year extension. There are 2 options. That can be done twice under this contract. But at any point after the end of that contract, the council can say no, go out for another RFP. So that gives you the final oversight on that service.
So did the council ask for this RFP to go out? And that,
Well, we had to. There was no choice
why was there no choice?
because the Republic contract had ended. We asked for an extension last year. That was granted, and there were no more extensions that were agreeable to be granted. So we had to go out for the RFP. And it's not a bad thing every once in a while to go out with an RFP to garner other prices and things of that nature, to give the council a choice so you can take that in consideration for what your citizens desire. So, any other questions?
Now, were we going, Mayor, did we need to open this up for public input?
They can make a comment if they would like.
Or if either of the respondents had a presentation to present for this?
Say it again.
Or if either the respondents or the three respondents, if they had presentations to present on their own, were we going to
Would
allow
you
that?
like that?
They have something available. I think that's what our normal course is.
All right, then, we can do that. So we have representatives from CWD, the Republic, as well as, I'm going blank. What is it? Frontier. All right, then. Who goes first? I'm thinking with a number between 1 and 3. Frontier. Very good.
I had signed up to speak.
Did you sign up? Did we have any speakers sign up?
We have a speaker card from each of the 3 representatives.
All right, who's the first on the list that you have?
Mr. Paul Hanson.
Mr. Hanson, please. You state your name and your address.
Yes, my name is Paul Hanson. I'm the general manager of CWD. My address is 2913 Camaro Drive in Crowley, Texas. And I just wanted to come and say thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to provide you guys a proposal, and we would love to earn your business. And I had signed up to speak specifically because I'd seen the graph with the difference in the rates, and I think Dave did a great job of explaining that, but that was the main thing I wanted to say. We do believe we are slightly cheaper, along with the commercial rates. But most importantly, you know, I just wanted to say that CWD, we were started in 1984. It's a privately held company. We are only in DFW. We now have about 35 municipal contracts, including Trophy Club, South Lake, Colleyville, Keller, Azle, and we do believe there is a difference being privately held. You can text or call our owners. If there's an issue, they'll come to the council meeting, and we run the company a little bit differently. We don't have the same degree of pressure on the financial side. I've worked for Wall Street run companies and private equity held companies, and there is a huge difference. A couple other things about us is we don't use any subcontractors, including our HHW, but if we have a bulk truck running, the helper on the back is an employee of ours. He gets full benefits. He also have an excellent profit sharing program that pays up to 8% of their total pay. And then we also are very big believers in green, especially if it makes financial sense. That's one of the reasons we run CNG equipment. We run compressed natural gas trucks, and that is much more efficient from a cost perspective, and they're very clean. We also run extra axles on every one of our trucks, so we are legal when we get on I-35 or we're heading to the landfill. And the vast majority of trash trucks are not, and that's very important. And then the final thing is just our technology. We believe our technology is second to none, and we have made huge investments in that. So we can track our trucks, we can run video if there's a question or concern, all the things that are extremely important when we're reaching out to customers. But anyway, that's all. Don't want to take up too much of your time, but I just wanted to say thank you. And obviously, we would love to get your business, but if we don't, we'll be back in 5 years. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks,
Hanson.
Paul.
I have
Yes,
one-
does anyone, yes, please.
I did have a
Counsel.
question. So does your hazardous, household hazardous and e-waste also, is it porch pickup?
Yes,
As well?
it is.
Okay.
Yes, it's monthly, and we would do it at the
Request of the, okay. And the other thing was about the contract landfills. because I just gonna need to be educated a little bit. So that means you don't have your own, but what do you use? What area or what local landfill do you use?
So we use Arlington landfill, we use Louisville landfill, and then we also have we're a transfer station permitted in Dallas. So we can take trash directly back there and then contract with some of the other landfills that we can negotiate with in terms of City of Dallas, and Waste Management has a huge landfill on the south side of Dallas. So those two are a much more affordable public services landfill. And of course, in terms of cost, once again, always trying to find the best rate.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions for Mr. Hanson? Mr. Hanson, thank you, sir. Ms. White, whom else? Who's next? Mr. Garver, thank you.
I'm Mike Gaver with Frontier Waste, and just like Paul said, I'd like to reiterate that, we just appreciate the opportunity. It's a pleasure being here, the opportunity to get the services. I think the only difference that we have is we're independently owned, just like CWD, but we are the local guys. We're out of Justin, so we're just down the road. That would make a difference anytime, there's a miss or anything like that. We can be Johnny on the spot. We're just down the road. We'll be a big part of the community, chamber banquets, anything you have going on, we'll have a physical presence. We'll be there, volunteer, whatever it is that's going on, we'll be involved with it. So that's a big difference about being independently owned and also being the local guy, just over in Justin, because we're right here. I think we do a lot of things differently on the shredding. We have a diversion company that we acquired, and they do a lot of different things as far as recycling. So like the shredding, it wouldn't be like an event once a year. It'd be more like rock boxes. So it could be weekly service, just however soon they fill them up, so people don't have to keep them, all year long and wait for one event. And then the hazmat, we all do it curbside, the same as everybody else. But I think if you see we're really close on competitive rates, the difference would be we would bring all brand new equipment. So all brand new carts, all brand new dumpsters, it would be a completely, every service would be brand new. And so, like I said, that's the difference being independently owned. We can do things different. We can do a lot more. We're more accessible. Call anytime. We're right there. And like I said, we are just the local guys. We're right there in Justin.
Very good. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Garver?
The same two questions. The waste is porch pickup as well?
Yeah, it would be.
And then what landfills?
The landfill would be Denton.
What areas around here do you serve? You said you're in Justin. How far kind of do you go?
Probably, the closest out of Justin would be probably, I'd say Springtown would be the closest side, bigger town and things like that. But we've got like 7 or 8 towns, just everything little around here. Reno now is going back to being a city. At one point they were going to dismantle, but just some of the smaller towns around here that we've got. Like I said, out of Justin, we go all the way to, the Metroplex, and then all the way out to Springtown and outside of Bridgeport, around Bowie, everywhere like that.
Council, any other questions? All right then, Mr. Garver, thank you, sir.
Thank you again.
And I assume our last one is Republic?
Last but not least, Jerry Harwell, 6100 Elliott Reeder Road, Fort Worth, Texas, 76117. So I will just say that we have been in Haslett for a very long time. One of our supervisors was raised here. He is over the small container part, which you do have a lot of that in your city. So we've got drivers that have been in Haslett for a long time. We have tracking on all of our trucks, which is why I was able to provide some tracking just a couple of weeks ago whenever a resident said that we weren't somewhere, and we actually were, so I was able to pull that. So we've grown with you. We've been good partners. We own some landfills, and then we have other landfills that we have life of site contracts on those landfills. Camelot, Louisville C&D site, Arlington landfill, Southeast landfill, And then when those landfills fill up, then we have the Itasca landfill that's got somewhere between, depends upon the growth of the area, but it's got somewhere between 80 and 110 years. That's what the landfill folks told me today when I asked. So we have that, and we've already got a transfer station permit, so there's not any issues with having to work on that. The HHW program is something that is very near and dear to my heart, because in order for Republic to be competitive in that space, the corporation said, oh yes, we do that. Okay, Jerry, you sold it. Now how are you going to do it? So it's a program that I've put together. Your residents are using it. You've got some options in your contract for 10 roll-off containers that we could do an event, just a drop-off event. If residents wanted to do that, we could always add shredding to that event. That's an easy thing to add. So that's one of the things about being, I don't want to be your low-cost provider. Well, I kind of almost am, but I don't want to be your low-cost provider. I really and truly want to be your partner. And I think that we've proven that. This has been my contract for 18 years, so everybody knows how to get a hold of me. I'll answer any questions that you have, but I appreciate the opportunity, and I don't think going out for RFP is a bad thing. It puts us all on our toes, and it gives me a lot of really good practice.
Council, does anybody have any questions for Ms. Harwell? Excuse me. Council, does anyone have any questions for Ms. Harwell?
I know the answer to the other two questions, but on the roll-off, so that would be where you would bring 10 containers. We could say we're having a bulk trash day. Is that kind
Yeah,
of?
we could do that.
Would you use all 10, or could you do like a 5 and 5?
We could do it any way you want to do it. We could do it 2 and 2, 3. I mean, it doesn't matter. The roll-offs are available to you through the contract. You haven't used them for the last couple of years. We have not done a brush bulk drop-off. I think because we got overwhelmed with brush a few years ago, when the whole world said they lived in Haslett and dropped off all their brush on Haslett. So we got a little overwhelmed over here. So we haven't done anything for a couple of years.
But you would recommend, like a city our size, 5 might work, and then, or 3, 3, 3. You would tell us if we need all 10, or you might not know, I guess, until you did one to see what the interest was. Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Council, any other questions for Ms. Harwell? Ms. Harwell, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have any comments, citizen input?
We had 3 emails in support of a couple of things from residents.
Is there anybody online? Is there anybody in the audience? All right, there's your citizen input. All right, council, it's to you.
I had one more question. You mentioned reports. Can this be something, whoever we choose, their report goes into our monthly report so that we see what's happening with the waste management, the service, the contract? Do we get monthly reports?
Not on waste management, that would be a different topic from
Okay,
this
we can-
discussion.
Okay.
You then call me and ask me what you would like to see.
Just the report, if they have a report. They don't send a report, then
No, there's not a report of such.
it's not a monthly report.
No.
Okay, there is other,
Format of it.
okay, we can talk about that later.
That'd be a different discussion item, because that is independent of whom you choose as to award this contract. All right, council, it is to you.
No, I just, one comment along with this discussion, I put out a semi-quasi little poll on our neighborhood Facebook page along with asking about the bulk pickup. And all but one person responded back with they're fine with the once a month bulk pickup. They don't see a need in going to 2 bulk pickups a month. So I thought that's about as good information I can get from the citizens of Haslett Park. I didn't request other neighborhoods. We've got that, so I've got that. And then I contacted I've got a contact with Waste Management, which I know they're not part of this, so it's kind of unbiased. They strongly recommended somebody that did own their own public landfills, that's a plus. As Waste Management owns theirs, it gives them leeway in what they do, where they divert trash to. So he said it's a bigger plus than going with somebody that's, contractor or renting landfill space.
Okay, thank you. Whether you want one or two pickups depends on what part of the city you live in. I know that for a fact. There's a lot of input. I'll say the number one request is been to have 2 pickups per month, so that folks aren't holding on to that for a month at a time. So, all right, thank you for that. Anybody have any other input?
If citizens knew that we could do like a drop-off day, we had a couple events twice a year, would they still want the 2 per month? I wonder. Or if we could try just continue with the 1 per month, add the drop-off days, and then see if it's still, is it something that we could add later, or is this contract for 5 years, can't be changed, this is what it is, or after a year, can things be adjusted?
I
For
think
all
that
of y'all.
the bulk pickup, from my observation, is more efficient than having drop-off days, because that's at best once a quarter. And you look like
yeah,
you're prepared to
yeah,
make a
Definitely more
comment.
convenient, I
Well, that
understand.
from the ones I've heard from was that was part of the reason they didn't like the old dump deal, was because they hung on to this stuff all year long, stacked up, and then all of a sudden, hey, it's happening one weekend. If they missed it, guess what? They got to keep that stuff for another year, and they didn't like that. Most of them like the deal of, hey, I get a bunch, I got a couch, I got to get rid of this. They can do it, and they wanted it to be more often.
So
for
just to be
them.
clear, so I have a couch I want to get rid of. I've missed my first of the month. So I just have to hold it till the next month.
Till the next month.
Okay, so it's not like I could put so much stuff out there. They're going to take it all, but I might have to wait the 30 days. Okay.
That's what we heard the most of, is that they like being able to do that. Every couple of weeks seemed to be the way most of them that I heard
And
from.
that's for an additional, just make sure I have it correctly,
$1.96.
$1.96.
$1.96, $1.07. That $1.96 was Republic, $1.07 is from CWD, and $2 is Frontier.
I'd love to have, I know you said you had some feedback from citizens, and Doug said he did too. I'd love if we had more to make a decision for what, if the citizens would want the $1.96 and have the 2, or if they prefer the lower price.
The information the comments I've received that they would like to have. Now, that's not everybody in the city of Haslett, but the comments I've received is they would like to have 2 pickups a month.
Can I say something? So if you decide.
If you would state your name again.
Jerry Harwell, 6100 Elliott Reader Road, Fort Worth, 76117. If you decide that you want to go with 1 time a week in the beginning, and then through, maybe do an event.
I mean, 1 time a month?
1 time a month. And see how it goes within the first year of the contract, and you decide to go to the twice a month, we can do that. So, you're not going to be locked in for 5 years. That's part of us being a partner. If you want more time to be able to talk to your residents, do an event, see how that goes, see what kind of turnout you get at it, and then make that determination.
I thank you very much. Would any other proposer like to make a comment to this? Yes, please, Mr. Hanson.
Paul Hanson, General Manager, CWD, 2913 Camaro Drive, Crowley, Texas. I just also wanted to say our top number, the 2424, which is very high, we kind of messed up the proposal, and that was actually a weekly, that was more of a traditional rear load collection. You'd still have a cart, but that would be, you could put out bulk every single week up to 2 cubic yards. So just to confuse the discussion a little bit more, just wanted to mention that. But in terms of, and I would, no matter who you go with, I would definitely recommend the more frequent collections at the house versus more events. And not to mention, staff usually has to work events. Now you're paying for staff to be out there sometimes, which may be good. So I, definitely, and in the grand scheme of things, I know we go through these things, and you guys are obviously very concerned about your constituents and what they're paying, but these are great services, and for an extra $1 or $2, I mean, if you call Junk King to haul away a couch, they're going to charge you $200 or something like that. So that extra $1 or $2, it goes a really long way. So I know sometimes we get so worried about 50 cents or $1, but ultimately this contract is what you have for 5 years. You've got a beautiful community here. You want to keep it nice, and when people put stuff out, you want it to go away, and you especially want if your neighbor puts something out and they happen to have a rental house down the street or whatever. You don't want to be looking at it for a month, and these guys don't want to be calling the hauler, arguing with them, oh, you got to wait 3 more weeks. Meanwhile, people are going through it, and it's getting spread throughout the neighborhood. So just a few things to consider there.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Very good points. Mr. Carver, I'm sorry. Did you have a comment?
Can you clarify again what you said at the very beginning, your 24, how that was a mix-up? Can you just clarify that again?
Okay, so in the base bid, which was supposed to have been an automated collection without carts, but when we read that, it was we thought that was actually a rear load collection, which is more traditionally, of course, not with the automated arm.
Cart means bin. A cart is a bin.
Cart is your 95-gallon trash cart or bin, and but so in lots of our cities, what we still do is run a rear load truck with a helper on the back, and they're going to empty that cart, the bin, and they're also going to pick up anything else that's outside of it. So that would be extra bags or up to 2 cubic yards. And 2 cubic yards we usually describe as the size of a washing machine is basically a cubic yard. So 2 items.
So would you take a sofa?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
And then,
We
so,
don't want to cut it in half.
right, not cutting half.
Or
So,
the king-size mattress, technically a
that
little
too.
over that, but we're gonna,
so is this price, do we have to purchase bins or carts, or are those provided in this price? Like a citizen?
the carts would be in that price. The $22.44, because that actually included the 80 cents with the.
Oh, recycle, I see it, recycle
so,
carts, or
yes.
recycle, okay.
All right, now you're speaking with respect to what is the green section, the automated waste collection system, or the one at the top, that's a take-all type?
Under the top, the take-all.
The take-all.
Base, what was called the base bid, but that was the way, and that's the way it's described in our write-up.
All right. And the bottom line change is this, so, David, do you understand what he said? What is the change here? No change?
I think what he was trying to say is that his price at $22.44, basically, if it was in 2 square yards, that could be bulky items or whatever, as long as it was in that 2 cubic yards.
Weekly. Yeah, that's really.
It didn't distinguish bulky or not on that day.
Okay, I get it.
It's
Okay.
basically about 90 cents more, but we're gonna pick it up every time. But when we start doing it every week, it doesn't make sense to run 2 different trucks. You just run one truck, a rear load truck, and you pick up the trash and the bulk items at the same time. When you're doing it once a month, then it makes more sense to run an automated truck to do the cans, and then the rear load truck to, but also people like, with the rear load tradition service is, when the truck goes down the street, everything's gone. As opposed to, sometimes what'll happen with, when you're running an automated truck versus a bulk truck. And I saw this very clearly at my 82-year-old father's house, where everyone is watching for the trash truck, and the dog goes crazy when the trash truck comes out. So trash day is a really big deal. And So, you know, you don't have to wait twice. And if they leave something, 82-year-old gets nervous. Are they going to come back? Are they going to get it? Especially if you put out that king-size mattress, you know, and sometimes they're calling the city or they're calling us. So when one truck comes through, they either got it or they didn't. But just a different side of the
Very
trash
good.
business.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hanson. I want to give Mr. Garver an opportunity to speak.
Mike Gaver, Frontier Ways, since 805 Topeka Avenue in Justin, Texas. Like Paul was saying, the way we initially read the RFP was like a catch-all contract without carts running rear load. So that does, yeah. And so where we're different is it's about 27 cents cheaper than what we're showing there for automated with carts, because like with the rear load, you got to run an extra helper and things like that. I think David reached out to me asking about the extra bags and things like that, and I explained, like, if we're going, it depends on which option you're going with, because the alternate with carts and automated, we can't do the extra bags. Driver doesn't get out, he's running the automated truck picking up the carts. But with the rear load on the catch-all, people can still use their own carts. You know, we'll still dump them, everything, but we will get the extra trash. And you will see the bulk reduce because we are getting the weekly extra trash with that service. And so, and then like anything else, we're all gonna be partners with the city of Haslett. So if you start off with twice a week bulk and you wanna renegotiate after a year it's not working, we're just gonna go ahead and make that happen for you. You know, that's a simple fix. Or vice versa, if you start with one, you wanna go to two, we're just gonna make that happen, or any other change. I mean, that happens all the time. You know, if something doesn't fit, we'll fix it, you know, and it's real simple, and we can do that, you know, like I said, independently owned, we can do pretty much whatever we wanna do. But that's the difference in those, when we read the RFP, we were reading that as a catch-all contract on the base bid, without carts, and it's a little bit more because when you add the helper in, but you do take a lot more trash, because you will take the extra bags, the extra stuff out there every week, and it does eliminate a lot of the bulk because you are handling that trash at every stop.
Okay, so just to be clear, I'm sorry, I'm slow with this. So you would not provide the residents with their own carts to use for your service?
With that, the way the RFP was read with a catch-all, we don't provide the carts because we run a different type of boat. If they're using their own, or if they've got old carts or whatever, we'll use them. If they just put it out in bags or they use trash cans or however, we're going to collect it all. We're going to get it all. On that service, we'll get the extra bags and things like that. You know, then there'll be a bulk day for like the couch. It won't be we won't grab that every week, you know, but the extra bags, like David had that question initially about, you know, extra trash and things like that are outside the cart. We're still going to pick that up, you know, with that base bid with running a rear load truck.
Because not everybody does.
All right, so
Not-
just,
Hold it, excuse me, council, one at a time.
just to follow up, so
Mr. Hort.
based on this then, all the carts citizens of Hazlet currently have are owned by Republic, and all those would be picked up?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure anybody listening online, we understand that.
Yeah, they're going to remove all their
Yeah.
equipment if they're not the contractor. So, and we have a contract like that, like in Mansfield, where, you know, they use their own or they use bags or however they want to do it. And so we run that whole town, and and there's other towns that do it, you know, just like that. They don't have a uniform cart system. Now,
Okay.
our other bid with the automated truck, we are furnishing all brand new carts, all brand new dumpsters, you know, just like it is right now.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Very good. Ms. Morrow. All right. Council, do you have any other questions? Ms. Harwell, are you, or has something else to add here, please?
I need to make sure that you guys understand, you're not cart, the residents do not have to use a cart today, but we provide the cart for the residents that want a cart, but they are not required to use a cart. And we do pick up whatever they put out there, whether it's in the cart or beside the cart, or there's no cart. And then we try to save the larger bulky items for the first Wednesday of the month. But I will tell you, sometimes there's mattresses out there, sometimes there's washing machines out there. So the reason that we did this the way that we did it is because you're not currently mandated to use a cart. And so you can have a cart if you want it or not have a cart if you don't. Basically, the way that we bid this, other than the second service, the second bulk collection a month, is basically the service that you have today. It is exactly what you have today. So you can have a cart, not have a cart.
No, we're talking about very specifically, this topic of discussion here is about bulk collection, twice a month. That's very specific is what we're addressing right now.
Right, so if you want to add a second bulk collection, but we currently pick up some bulk items on your regular service today. Really?
I don't know, but that's good information. I appreciate that because Wednesday mornings, I'm sneaking down to the other neighbors and dropping off a few bags in their trash can, so now I know.
So,
Thank you very much.
I thought I was the only one.
but you guys were not carts, and a few years ago, we had residents requesting carts, and so we started delivering carts for the residents that wanted carts. And now as the new people are moving in, they all want carts. So, I mean, but you do have some senior citizens that don't want a cart, and that's okay too. They could put out their own little trash can.
All right, well, thank you very much, and I'm glad we got into that part of it. I want to point out the difference between the blue and the green section. The blue section that you're looking at is what is called take all, whether it be a cart, a metal trash can, or bags, plastic bags, paper bags. It's all picked up. The green section is carts only. Carts provided by the provider. That's only that. If you can't get it in that container, it doesn't get picked up. I'm not sounding mean or anything, but you need to understand the difference between the blue section and the green section.
They just both said, they also, they would pick it up though if it's outside the cart.
Say it again?
They said they would pick it up if it's outside the cart. Even if it's not in it, they would
Not
still,
under the green
they would
section.
still collect it.
Not under the green section. The contract is what the contract is. The blue section, that is take all. If it's outside a cart, if you got a cart with trash in it or other items, they'll pick it up under the blue section. If you have a plastic bag, contractor bag out there with trash or whatever is in it, they will pick it up under the blue section. So understand, there's an automated service which requires the 95-gallon carts only. That's why it says that, carts only. At the top, the base bid, which is what they generically call take all, I understand. I'm not an expert, forgive me if I'm using the wrong term, but whether it's in a can, cart, or a bag, it gets picked up under the blue section.
And currently, right now, we're in the blue.
Currently, it's a blue section.
That's good to know, because I try to keep everything in my trash can. Now I know I can bring extra stuff, so that's good.
Okay, so, all right, Mayor,
Well, there you go.
if I understood you right, then, as we proceed down the road here to make a motion, does that motion need to include which one of these services?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That would be the, I guess for the document's sake, one is base bid, is that correct? Or the automated waste collection? Is that correct, David?
That would be correct.
All right, so does everybody understand the difference?
Yeah.
The blue
Thank you.
section called base bid is take all. Green section is provider cart service only.
And will the contract continue to have, I'm looking at it again, and I guess maybe I'm reading this wrong, but it says it will automatically renew by mutual consent of the parties. So will that, is that what the contract will say again? I guess I'm misunderstanding why it was canceled to begin with, 'cause I thought it automatically renewed unless it was canceled.
Okay, the key word, the operative word is consent. The
Oh,
only
yeah.
way we get a consent is the provider agrees, and then I bring it to the city council, and the city council agrees. You have to consent to it. So as
So it doesn't automatically
It just doesn't automatically happen.
renewed by mutual consent
So
of the
there
parties
is
here too? Okay.
formality in acquiring consent. That's the provider approval and the council approval.
And that's the wording of the new
David,
contract
is
as
that
well.
how it's currently worded?
That's the way it's
Okay.
currently done, yes.
But then for two successive terms, twice?
Correct,
Okay. Same.
correct.
All right, I just have, Mayor, one other comment I made, and Republic brought it up, that we do have, I didn't know this, and sorry for not being educated, but, access to 10 roll-offs per year, it seemed like that would take care of at least one of our bulk trash pickups in a year, and I think that's costing us $15,000 for the chipper to come out and chip up the brush, if I remember, ballpark pricing on that.
I would
I think
ask
we're-
council this, is whether we do we got away from doing this big everything, anything trash day because it became unmanageable for us, the city itself. And it left with stuff was sitting out there, trying to get people to come and pick it up, these salvage companies, et cetera. It became difficult, and it just trashed the area. We have moved away from that, and having the brush drop off, yes, the contractor comes out, and almost regardless of a mountain of tree or vegetation that's brought, and they chip it up and they haul it off.
So wouldn't they bring the 10, we fill them up, and then they take them away?
Say it again?
They would bring the 10 containers, we would come dump our trash in them, and then they would take them away.
But that's very limited. You
We were
think
just
of
saying that
10.
we would have to find who to take them to, or how to get rid of
We
them.
have to get people, they come and take them
So
away.
they bring them, then they take them.
But typically what we've experienced is there's always a side set off like lawnmowers and refrigerators. And David, you can come in at any time here.
Or yeah, Mr. Tucker.
Or James.
Yeah, if I can, when we used to do the once annual collection event, we never had maximum quantities, and people would bring way outside of the 10 dumpsters. At the height of that, I think we even had 15 and up to 20 on one collection event, and that was before we had all the new subdivisions online. Just the sheer amount of bulk trash being brought to us far exceeded what those 10 dumpsters could do. And we tried breaking that up to 2 different events, but it was hit or miss. Either they'd both be overrun, or one would be completely empty. We'd send back empty dumpsters and just a bunch of wasted manpower. The bulk collection, and I do agree with the mayor suggesting the second bulk, that is a request we get a lot, is what do you do with those couches? And surely twice a month would be more than the average person would have those larger items, but we would not like to go back to those big events, because we would have to rethink how we did that to manage it, because the quantities of what people brought, it was never, you'd have people try to bring whole buildings. One person could fill up an entire dumpster, and there's just enough of that. Doing the collection for brush, that has been good, separating that from the trash, but the trash collection events were problematic.
So like Mr. Horak said, could you put the brush in the 10?
We could.
avoid that
and,
cost.
Ms. Harwell, she did provide on one of those chipping events, she did haul those off. But I believe we were in the high 30s of dumpsters, and that wasn't really, it took a long time to load them, a long time on the switch out, and the current method is pretty reasonably priced for them to chip it on site and haul it off. All that trucking's built in, and then that was it's been the smoothest that's run with the way we're currently doing it.
With regard to the management of it, this what we used to have, the dump offs, we were actually we were operating our own landfill site, except we were having it hauled off. It's unmanageable. It's very difficult. And if you recall what the fire station field looked like after those things, it was a trash heap for months. We don't want that anymore. We've come a long way in the last 3 years. What we have is clean, it's manageable, we get good service, separating out the brush from the other bulk items is very good. One recommendation I would make, regardless of whom you choose, is that the second collection per month is incorporated in it.
See, and after all the citizens responded that they didn't feel that was worth the price, I don't feel
Now, you
confident
had
talking
a subdivision.
Right, that was just the only information I had, and they specifically said they did not feel that
That's
cost.
about 200 homes out of
Well,
1,000.
I don't have any other data.
It was only Hazlet Park. There's
Right.
more additions in City of Hazlet than Hazlet Park. I can only speak for what I looked at.
Right.
I can't speak
And
for
I don't think
anybody
that
else.
you'll get anybody complain about having that, say, for even, for whomever it is, whether that additional charge is, to have the ability to go drop off, to put a king-size mattress out at the curb.
I just want to make sure if we're charging an additional cost to our citizens, we have the data that drives our decision. And so if we can add it any time, I'd like to find out if that's what the citizens want, not just Haslett or the few you spoke to or the ones that call y'all. I would just like to see what the interest is and is it worth it, or are 100 citizens paying for it, or is everybody paying for these 100 citizens that are using it? So that's just my input.
Understood. Data, other than, what data we got is, the Councilman Hork has said, there's no data to offer, comment. We have 3 inputs or emails. That's the only hard data anybody has. I'll say this, at least I haven't experienced a call that says, no way in heck do I want an additional pickup. But some very good points by the providers have been made.
For the additional
The
cost.
more
Right.
pickups that you have in a month, the much more manageable it is, and you'll keep a cleaner city. That's our bottom line, keeping a clean city and providing that service. That means each residential lot too.
I agree. I agree with keeping a clean city. I just want to make sure that the cost offsets the need.
I as a, who would be subject to this charge, I would be very happy to pay for that additional pickup.
Yeah, I want to go back to the roll-off thing, because when I brought that up, I did not mention, I didn't bring up, and didn't do anything else about expanding the brush drop-off to any other trash. It was solely, we have a brush drop-off that's worked very well. I'm thinking 10 roll-offs will hold at least 90% of what dropped off this past time. It was a big mountain. And go back to where getting the chipper out, to chip it up and haul it off, was in the range of $14,000 to $15,000.
Well, let me
Nowhere did I
ask
mention
you,
about bringing out
and
lawnmowers and all that
I
stuff.
understand what you're asking, but I need to, is there any variation in the price with regard to containers or chipping trees or anything like that? I just need us to focus on this agenda item, what's before us,
Well, I
is
think
this
that's
contract.
part of what we need to take into account when we make our decisions.
Okay,
is-
let me ask you, what difference does it make in any of these bids?
Will it
It
save
is
the city
actually in
14?
every one of them.
Say it again?
That is in every one of them. They provide dumpsters for each city facility building, and they provide a set number of roll-offs to the city each year at no extra cost. If we go beyond that, then that's a different thing, but we get those with every one of these. Everybody gave us a good price on doing the exact same thing that we get now. Everybody would have a 5-yard dumpster at every one of our buildings. We were even adding one dumpster to Community Park for a permanent one. And we had roll-offs, what was it, 12 in a year's time.
Okay. So
From each
in the-
provider. So
In the
it's the
data
same
in the
across the board.
presentations presented to me,
And it's all about how we use them. We can use them any way that's to be used however we feel we need them. If we
so
had a-
all I'm saying, David, in the data presented to me and the information presentations presented to me, there was only one Republic that mentioned anything about providing 10 roll-offs. So that's all I have to go on. I can only go on information given to me. I can't make assumptions.
You make
when
a
we're
good,
talking about
you
bids.
make a good point. Where's that in here, David?
No, that was in their overall bid thing, that all of them had for the city services, which they all provide free. That's a free service. That's not something that's included in any of the
The
rates
representative
to
for
anybody.
Republic Trash.
So
mentioned
that's in
her
the
presentation.
contract verbiage itself?
Yes.
Have you had an opportunity to read the contract verbiage?
It was in the presentation made by Republic that they offered that service, so that's.
No,
why I did
I'm
it.
just telling you if we've had opportunity to read the contract.
Not the full contract.
Okay.
We have a contract.
Yeah, I'm
with-
reading the contract. I don't think we had one that was in this
Excuse
packet.
me. Okay.
Mayor Halsey, I don't think there was one in the packet. I'm looking at the
But do we have a
old
contract with
contract.
CWD to read?
We don't even have ours.
He has got a,
Mr. Hanson.
Okay, just add some information here. On page 4 of our proposal, just like you're saying, we added in 12 30-yard roll-offs, and we show that that's 17 cents per home of that price. So for example, if you didn't use those, then that would bring the price down 17 cents. And then we also show 12 roll-offs for the city, because sometimes when we do these, typically at Public Works or whatever, that's an additional 17 cents per home. So yes, there's 12 included for a cleanup event, I guess is what you would say. And then there's also 12 for the city. So
Okay,
that's
and
normally
the-
how we would bid these.
In the packet we received, that information's not provided to us. Thank you.
David, was not the contract provided in the package?
Yeah, no, that was in the RF, but that was in the RFP.
I'm talking what was sent
No,
out?
it's
as-
in the RFP.
Did you send that, was that in the, provided to the council?
The original RFP was, yes. Before.
All right.
I'm looking at my agenda.
Let me, the other providers, Mr. Garber, looks like you're,
They requested free services at the library and certain containers.
yes.
So we all put in, like, we build that into, so everybody's gonna have the same. I've got the original RFP, I can find it, but we all, there were services requests for like cards. We had to clarify in the meeting whether how many cards at the library. And then you have different dumpsters at each of your city locations that are not charged to the city. They're part of free services along with roll-offs, but there was a amount in the RFP that we all responded to.
All right. Mr. Tucker, do you have something you wanted to share?
No.
Mr. Tucker was part of the team
Yeah.
that put that together.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am?
I forgot I had a question. Y'all continue, I'll find it.
Did you have a question?
yes, sir. So I just want to clarify, so the roll-off dumpsters, is that if I want to clean out my shop and I've got a bunch of junk, is it for citizens or is that just for commercial for the city use only? Can I call one of y'all and say, I need to roll off at my house to clean up a bunch of stuff, or is that only for city use?
Included in the proposal is for the city use. Now, if the city chooses to say, hey, we want to clean up this person's house, then yes, you could use them for that. But no, a resident couldn't call us and say, ooh, I want the first of the 12.
Okay.
Very good. Yes, you would have to pay the commercial rate to get a dumpster delivered to your residence.
Okay.
I found my question, because you had said the city's review group completed a thorough review, and so who was a part of the city's review group? I guess you said Mr.
Mr. Tucker, Mr. Rogers, and
Mike Thetford, so Public Building Services was there, and we had representatives from staff who do the actual building. And
who's that?
Sabina So she
Delta.
is, yep, she was our other one.
So that was the 4.
Say one other thing.
Yes, sir.
Sorry to, but another thing that we do in a lot of our cities is if Public Works gets a big pile of brush, we'll bring a transfer trailer over, so we use to transfer trash from the transfer station to the landfill, and we just bring a brush truck and we just load it, and that saves you a lot of money on chipping. Chippers can be very expensive, they can be hard to use, and plus it basically doesn't take any of your employees' time or energy. Just another thing, and I'm sure Republic could do that as well, but just something to consider. But if you're paying $14,000, divide it, and that's $1 a home.
You haven't seen some of the piles of brush that we hit. As big as this building, easily.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. Last year, several of our cities got hit very, very hard by that. And yeah, we had some massive piles.
Well, this is just regular.
But you're right, I'm sure.
Yeah, you got to,
You guys have the biggest pile.
yes, sir.
This is in the original RFP, if you want to see what was requested for free services.
Why don't you just go ahead and add, step to the podium and describe to the council as a whole.
In the original RFP for city services, these are free to the city. We were all requested to give 12 roll-offs per year, and then City Hall Fire Station was it requested a 5-yard, but there isn't one. We clarified it's going to be a 6-yard dumpster. And then at City Hall Library, I believe we clarified it to be 2 carts, and that's the free services for the city, and that was part of the RFP that we all provided, and I'm sure everybody else, we include that in the pricing when we put that together, but that's what was requested in the original RFP.
Understood. Council, do you understand? Okay,
Yeah.
that part of it?
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Very good.
And I guess I kind of want to see what the other council members think about the $1.96 for the second bulk collection twice per month, or if once, or if one in our current rate is enough.
Whether it's $1.96, $1.07, or $2, I will say this, it is a very good value.
I just want to make sure that's what the citizens want before we make that motion.
I would say that as one of the representatives of the citizens citywide, yes.
And I don't. I know my family, we've talked about it, and we do not want to pay the $1.96. So now it's even. So what does the majority of our citizens want?
Well, I'm trying to tell you, majority want the additional pickup.
Okay. Okay.
Nonetheless,
Well, I make a motion.
as the staff, have any comments? Have y'all been requested for any, has it additional pickups?
They both said that
Mr.
they do
Rogers.
get that, yeah.
I will say that there's never a shortage of people looking to get rid of bulkier items.
Right.
So on people who miss bulk item, bulk pickup day, they're always trying to figure out what do we do with that, and having that another event only 2 weeks away would make that a little easier. Like I said, I think.
I just want to make
without
sure
hard-
that the decisions we're making are for the majority and not the minority. So that's just
Yes.
something I'm trying to be cognizant of. And
I'll say with the biggest complaint we get is that bulk pickup.
That's correct.
And they missed my bulk pickup. Well, a lot of times it was,
Like our very last one, they filled the truck up so fast, they couldn't do it all in one day.
so would they come? So they'd come back the
They
next day.
had to come back the next day to finish because we had so much bulk out.
so if you
And
had
it
it, and
happens
that's
too
a
often.
regular thing. That's not a one-off event, something like
No,
that
that happens quite
So
That
often.
occurs
you
how many
have-
times a year? Or how many times for the once a month bulk pickup? Twice? That's what I'm saying, that the reports would show if this is something that is happening twice a year, or is it happening 9 times a year, then there would be definitely a need for that. Do you have that? Probably don't have that information.
Who are you talking to?
Our current provider, I don't know how often that happens.
They don't have a report with them, I can tell you that, if they even have one.
Curious how often this is an occurrence.
So it's not how often we have to come back the second day because of the amount. But I will tell you, there are seasonal times in Haslett where there is a lot more bulk than other times. So dead of winter, you don't see that. But there is a lot of brush at the curb in the spring and the fall. If you are asking my opinion of what your residents would benefit from, would be the twice a month. Because it does keep the city cleaner. There's less that's going out at the first of the month. And then those people that forget that it was that day, and then it sits out there for 2 or 3 weeks too. So there is something to think about on that side of it. So.
Very good. All right, council. Would like a motion. Does anybody have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept a new contract with Republic Services as outlined in the RFP.
And which, the blue or green? You said that again. You accept, you're making a motion to,
blue.
excuse me,
The blue,
the blue?
yes.
Okay. And that is known as the base bid or the take-all version. And you're recommending the $21.57 per month service. That's the total there?
Do you want me to restate my?
Well, I just, for clarity.
Yeah,
Yeah, if
so
you
I'd like
make it-
to make a motion to accept a new contract with Republic Services as outlined in the RFP using the base bid with a total price of $21.57, adding a second bulk collection twice per month.
Motion is made to accept the Republic base bid of $21.57, which is inclusive of the second bulk pickup of the month. Did I repeat that correctly? All right, is there a second?
Mayor, I'll second that.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All right, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
And none opposed. Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Republic Services. I want to thank all of you, Frontier, CWD. Thank you for its time and effort goes into these proposals. Thank you very much. When we come out again with an RFP, please respond. Thank you so much. Wait a minute. All right. Item 5 is executive session. We'll let them leave. Then we'll finish our meeting. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Thank you.
You only had to listen to this. Thanks for having just a meeting just to talk about trash. Sit there for 2 hours.
Thank you very much. Please respond.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, sir.
I didn't know you got to do that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, very good. Mr. Rogers, if you'd have a seat, we'll finish this meeting up. All right, item 5, executive session. There is no need for executive session. 6 is mute. Item 7, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Motion's made to adjourn. Is there a second?
I second that.
All in favor? It's unanimous. Meeting adjourned at 8:14 PM. Thank you, council.
I was looking at that clock over there, I was like, that didn't say 8:14 either. When you said that, I was like,
Batteries are